So after you've just kind of experimented with using the Sharpie and feeling the difference in the friction, I'd like for you to practice 25 lines. So we're going to do 5 vertical lines, 5 diagonal, 5 horizontal, 5 arches, and 5 circles. So when I'm starting this, you could use your regular Sharpie, or you could use your ultra fine point. The same rule applies for your ultra fine point. When I use this, I want to make sure that I am pulling my marker line down. And you see how it didn't do anything? That's because there's a little plastic tube around the plastic felt here. And if I have it too much of a diagonal, I'm only getting that plastic tube. But once I hold it upright, I'm getting away from that plastic tube. So see here, it's not doing anything, and I lift it, I still have a diagonal, but that's the difference. Too flat and upright. So again, you don't want to push because you're creating friction and you're going to wear out and break the tip of that marker. So 5 vertical lines, use a straight edge. And if you have a long line, do one that's extra long, and you have to do it in pieces, and see how well you can do it without creating that dot. You see that dot where I had the 2 overlap? So I'll do this one in segments just for practice. There's one segment. I'm going to very gently put this down and overlap it. There, I did better that time. I don't have the dot quite as much. One whole line from beginning to end, and then I'm going to do another one as a segment. So you can see the ones where I paused. When you pause, I'm going to do a 6th line just to demonstrate. When you pause and you keep your marker still, it's pulling the liquid out of your marker and into your paper, and you do end up with bleed spots. So be careful to keep your marker moving, which is why I always like to try it in the air first and make sure it's comfortable. And I kind of taper it. You see how that got really thin there? And that allows me to go ahead in and overlap the lines with a little bit less. And then if I have to, I can go back in and kind of try to hide that. And then if the line really just isn't looking the way I want it to, I can always bump up to the next size marker and try to hide that. So again, not perfect, but this is why we are practicing. And I don't have to press. So if you look, when I hold this marker, I can hold it so dainty and barely touch the paper. And I'm still going to get a line. If I press hard, I might get a thicker line, but I'm also wearing out the marker unnecessarily. So if I want a thicker line, instead of pressing hard, just trace a line and move your straight edge over and trace it again. And you can get some really nice thick lines that way. So again, I'm finding it easier to pull, so now I'm going to turn my paper. Let's make this one extra bold. So far I have my 5 verticals, my 5 diagonals, and my 5 horizontals done. Let's talk about the arches. So again, I'm going to practice in the air. That's more comfortable, just turning this a little bit. And instead of starting here, maybe I'm going to start here. And then here I can start to taper that. Notice I keep turning it, so I'm naturally making arches away from me. And I'm using 3 pieces, 3 segments to do this arch. There we go. So I end up with an arch that's pretty even when I'm done, but I did do it in 3 segments. And I have one more here, so I'm going to turn this all the way upside down. And now I have my 5 circles. So for a circle, I'm going to start off with this slightly larger one. It's very lightly there in pencil. Make it a little darker. And it's not a perfect circle, it's a hand-drawn circle. I can always trace something if I want a perfect circle. And this I definitely have to do in segments. And if I want to trace something for a perfect circle, I could do this. Didn't necessarily go so well for me. That's okay. Let's try this. So now I have 5 vertical, 5 diagonal, 5 horizontal, 5 arches, and 5 circles. Please take a picture of this and turn it in. Well lit and cropped down so it is portfolio quality. We are going to go on to practice 2, continuing with this same piece of paper.